Hey everyone, I was hoping that my picture would show, but for some reason it's not showing. And I've had a couple of people look at it and I can't figure out why. The reason why I'm sharing this morning is because of a show that I started to watch this morning, and it's on Netflix. And it said something about targeted from the beginning. And it sort of talks about what I've been talking about when I said things about confirmation and just things falling in line. And this program had to do about the history of Black people in this country. Also has to do about slaves history. I think they said they used to call them Slavs, but they weren't Black. They were slaves among themselves. Every nationality's been a slave at one point. But what made the Portuguese go in after Africa was the fact that we couldn't blend in. See, if you were of the same ethnic group and you could run away, you could pass yourself off if you were able to get away with it as a free person, not as a servant. But if you were Black, you couldn't dispute that you was a slave. So the Portuguese went in there and they started their commodity of importing Blacks out of Africa for the trade of slavery. Now, in order for them to do that, they had to put in a reason why they would go in there and cultivate humans like they did. And they started to say that they were uneducated, they were close to being beastly like, so they were animals. Other than that, they would have been convicted of kidnapping, rape, um, torture, all of the things that would be known for crimes against humanity. So they had to dishuman us in order for them to go through through in order for them to go into Africa the way that they did. And then this became a European thing that they classified us as being uh, animals, and that was to cover it up. But when we get to the situation in this country, and Blacks have been here since the beginning, you know, whether we were here, came by through Africa because there's a lot of kings that visited America as well. There were politicians here, but I'm living in the heart of a lot of where this history started. And we still talk about slavery, and I mentioned something about the invisible slave whip. Well, watching this program this morning told me, and it showed me that the Black lynching of Black men and women has not stopped. It's just been camouflaged into imprisonment. And then there's the other things, massive incarceration. That's just the same as Black lynching. But I want to share something out of that movie that I saw, and I want y'all to listen to this. This has to do with our elected presidents and the war on crime. And in order for America to continue to get away with what they do to Black people in this country is to criminalize us. And listen to this, you all. I'm going to play this for you. I wish I could see this. Um, Come on, phone, act up. I do this all the time. Just give me a second, you all. But this movie is so interesting. It also talks about the slavery of the Black woman and how they said it was hard on a Black man, but it was really, really hard for the Black woman because she was raped and violated, so many times. It was just It's unreal to think about. And the fact that they felt that it was their entitlement. So you couldn't go against someone who raped you because they felt that they own you. They could do what they wanted to do with you. This is why America needs to be called out for what it's done to us. It has decriminalized us. It has made us the bad people, and we are not that. We are not that. And the more angry and upset that we get about these brutalizations, it's hurting us, because we need to bring it out to the forefront and make the people that did this accountable for it, and make them responsible and act for the condition that we are in. They have not settled their debt with us. We have not received our 10 acres and a mule. Okay? And not only that, we have built this country from the ground up on free labor. There has been wealth and riches that's out of this country, out of the backs of slaves. But let me show you something that different presidents had said, how they would use the system to attack Black people. I'm going to play this for you. Come on now, play.
Is lynching. It is a form of racial terror meant not only to punish the Black individual, but to send a message to all Black people to stay in our place. Policing and their techniques have evolved. There is a single common thread. Every time there's a huge fan out, push forward, go. There's a tidal wave that comes to Black progress is punishment. It's not articulated like that. It's articulated as problems of crime, problems of drugs. But the reality is it's an effort to reassert racial domination, to bring forth order.
This nation must make an all-out effort to combat crime. Our country's laws must be respected. Order must be maintained.
My friends, let this message come through clear from what I say tonight. The wave of crime is not going to be the wave of the future in the United States of America.
The first responsibility of government is law and order.
I am the law and order candidate.
I think I paused it right there for a moment, but that one talked about the modern day lynching, and it talked about the police brutality and really the execution of Black men, now Black women. They said they're being lynched. They're not being murdered or shot by police. They're actually being lynched. And they have been doing it for years in this country. It's a form of hanging that they can get away with, hiding behind the blue uniform.
When you read stories about difficulties, riots in Omaha or Cleveland or Brooklyn or Chicago or wherever,
I call them rebellions.
they're rebellions. And you see nothing wrong with them?
I think that it is people who are rebelling against a system that has locked them inside tight of ghettos that exploits and oppress them, and they have no means of redress to break that system down. You have moved to destroy and disrupt. You have taken people away. You have broken down their systems, and you have called all that civilization. And we who have suffered at this are now saying to you, you are the killers of the dreams. You are the savages. Yes, it is you who have always been uncivilized.
I'm going to pause that again. I mean, this show, we targeted from the beginning. I hope I got that title right. It's on Netflix. Really, really is a must see. And I've been tuning into a lot of different medias and different people on racism and also on this thing with the voting, and draws my attention to why so many, and I don't want to say this to cause any kind of division, but there's something going on here that needs to be taken notice of, and that's the amount of illegal aliens that are coming into the country. A lot of it has to do with the Latinos, but some of it is Ukraine. I know that they promised some of those people protection and all of that, but they're setting up people here in America. Now, I had the opportunity not too long ago downtown Boston before my mother passed, around Mass General. They were passing out these flyers, and these flyers were asking for donations to help the people at the border. They were giving them land, and then they would give them livestock, cows, chickens, everything that they would need to be self-supporting so they wouldn't have to depend on the welfare system. And then they would have land to cultivate, and they would also own property. And my brother was getting ready to donate, and I just voiced my opinion, and I said, well, I don't have anything against that, but what about the people in this country that have supported America, that's helped build America, that's helped fight America's wars, that was promised 40 acres and a mule? What happened? And you're asking me to do this for someone, and I ain't even got what my family was entitled to yet. And you want me to overlook this? And I told him, I'm sorry, but I can't do it. But my brother did, that's him. But then I looked on the internet, and I found out there's a lot of this going on in this country. Like I said, I stumbled on a woman talking about some places they're giving Latinos free rent for 2 years and setting them up in housing and everything. And I mean, I talk about confirmation, and I talk about common sense, and it seems that I've hit on this. And this here show, I swear, said agreed with me on this power issue. And I would hate to think that I supported all this long is trying to tilt the voting scale to be Democrat by letting in a group of people that would be appreciative and vote Democrat once they can get American citizenship and the right to vote. There's something that's being pushed here. I don't know, but it's just like we're on the tip of something that we need to look out for, because that's why I say we need to go back to Black Wall Street and pulling in our own resources, because this country is about power, and we've been used to tilt the scale, and whoever's favored that promises whatever they promise in order to gain power. But we've come to the realization now that our votes are not counting for anything, because we're still being discriminated against and mistreated in this country. I mean, I looked on a recent thing. I think they found this young kid hung. I mean, wow. It's a horrible situation. But anyway, let me go ahead and play something else for you on this. You should get your kids to sit down and watch these things and get them off the games for a minute.
Civilize yourself.
Is drawn to the spectacular, drawn to the flames, but we don't pay attention to the kindling. And the kindling are those policies that are predicated on anti-Blackness, the denial of education, kindling, unequal housing and employment opportunities, kindling, the the hyper policing of Black communities. Kindling, stop and frisk, the war on drugs, mass incarceration.
When you have policies, structures, and institutions that intentionally subjugate Black people, you intentionally create communities that can be continuously criminalized. And there's that threat again.
Basically, that's that system that we've been living up underneath for years, and it's gotten us nowhere. We're still in these concrete jungles. We're still trying to educate our children, and we're still trying to aim for that American dream, but it's impossible for some people up here in the North. And it's better to go back to where you can accumulate wealth, and that is to own your own property. And that's why I'm looking at going back to being around a Black Wall Street where I can put my money and invest it into something that I know that's going to benefit my people. Everybody else in this country does it. Why can't Black people do it? And it goes through the history that every time that we got on our feet, out of jealousy, they came and ripped it from us. And it was like, no, you worked for us and you this, and we could use you, and now you're going to walk away and do better than us? We can't have this, because that contradicts everything that we said about you all, that you all are dumb, that you all are uneducated, that you all don't know how to do anything, you know. So if they put you in a system like this and you don't know the truth about yourself, you're fighting a system amongst each other that we can't get out of, because we have to come together and stop, first of all, fighting amongst each other and start building each other up. That means we got to start supporting one another. So I'm going to go ahead, because I could be getting ahead of myself, but I'd like to play a little bit more of what I recorded this morning. There was a lot of music playing, so I had to try to just get the voices in.
Racism in this country, we're really thinking of the history of power.
Everything in our society that has been used to oppress Black people in this country, it's just so they can continue to keep power. The white elite, that's how they benefit. They get to maintain their power.
We are taught that power is some kind of finite resource, that it is a pie. And the more I have, the less you have, and the more you have, the less I have. If your guiding principle is that whatever you have, you better keep it at all costs, then you will do whatever you have to do. You will lie, you will cheat, you will steal, you will kill to make sure that you hold on to it. It was a part of our culture. There's no consent. There's no ability to say no. You are considered unrapeable in slavery, legally considered unrapeable. There are so many different ways Black women were violated that makes their experience as enslaved people different, and makes the scholarship surrounding their struggles different.
White enslavers tried to cover up their sexual assaults of Black women, but one woman refused to let her voice be silenced.
Harriet Jacobs was the first woman to ever write her own slave narrative. And she writes it in a way in which she describes what Black enslaved mothers went through.
Reader, I draw no imaginary pictures of Southern homes. Slavery is terrible for men, but it is far more terrible for women. Women have wrongs and sufferings and mortifications peculiarly their own. At every turn, it reminded me that I belonged to him, and swearing by heaven and earth that he could compel me to submit to him. He peopled my young mind with unclean images, such as only a child monster could think of. What was I saying? I saw a man 40 years my senior, daily violating the most sacred commandments of nature. That I must be subject to his will in all things. My soul revolted against the mean tyranny. But where could I turn for protection?
I have a great immersion.
Okay, you all. That was talking about this young slave girl that was repeatedly raped every day by, I don't like the word master, by her so-called, I guess, owner. And they wound up helping her escape from him, but she wound up living 7 years in an attic. And they had got her kids, and they brought them to the grandparents' house. And she was able to see her kids, but she can only see them from a hole in the roof of the attic, because she couldn't give up her whereabouts. But her kids, I think she had 4 kids, and they were all done by the white man. And like you say, I mean, the crimes that were committed, and it has not been that far. It's not been that long ago. Really, it hasn't been that long ago. And it's a shame that this country has violated us so much. I can't imagine all the men they rape too, because a lot of freaky deakies out there, child molesters. So they don't want to talk about the abuse that they put us through. But the other abuse is how they maintain power in this country, and that's the use of our signature on voting. All promising, we're going to make your life better. We're going to open up better schools, better books, better this, better that, you know. And still, everything that's coming into this country that's bad, they affiliated crime and drugs and everything to Black people. But they don't talk about the white crimes or the other crimes that go on in this country. They just make an example out of us so that they can come in and keep policing us the way that they do. It's called cause and effect. If we don't stop the cause, then there won't be an effect. That's like I said, I wish there had been a lot of stars that got back in the day. Well, they were robbed too. Shit, they didn't have no money. I wish they could have opened up community centers that promote Black arts, children, or computer work, because the thing to the future now is computers, electronics, and digital, and all of that. You know, you can even know how to fly these what do you call it? These air drones and all of that stuff. You know, and our kids don't have access to a lot of this training that other students have, but with the learning ability that we have, we can be taught this stuff in grammar school. Can you imagine that? Keep teaching your kid another language besides English while they're young. I mean, they pick up language quick. They can speak 2 languages, you know, or 3 very easily at a young age. And it's something that will will teach them how to gain, because it's going to get where if you don't know how to speak more than one language, then you're going to be screwed, because there's too many people here that speak different languages. So, and then you got to know what people are talking about. Really, you really need to know what other people are talking about. That's why I say we need to wake up and really start getting serious. I mean, Black people are a monopoly of money. Everything that we've done, athletic, everything that we touch is almost like gold. But nobody benefits from it. We don't benefit from it, because once we stick it out there and everybody likes it, then the robbers come in and they swoop in and then they steal it. And then some of us are so naive, we just hand them over the blueprints. We just hand it over to them. But this is deep. I'm gonna then they talked about this show. It also talked about this Black woman. She was a young teenager. Let me see if I'm getting to that part.
So poorly on Black women, talking about how unattractive they were.
Oh, this is talking about Thomas Jefferson.
But he couldn't get enough of Sally Hemings. How many children did he have by that woman?
He consistently raped Sally Hemings, who was a teenage slave.
Sally Henderson, I think, was Thomas Jefferson's slave.
Espousing the language of democracy while he is reading property from Monticello. He, and like Thomas Jefferson, rationalized sexual violence perpetrated against Black women by saying that it wasn't sexual violence at all.
And here at one point they're talking about they displayed Black women.
About Black women that came out of the slavery era was the icon of the Black Jezebel.
Black
This
Jezebel.
was supposed to be a Black woman who was completely controlled by her sexual appetites. She was innately predisposed to always be hypersexual and want to engage with sex.
And this was the reason for them to do rough sex with Black women. They said that we were built for this kind of torture.
What types of experiences does it allow us to overlook or to ignore?
This was an excuse for white men's rape of enslaved women.
We, whose names are underwritten, do assure the world.
Okay, this is talking about the woman that did the poem. This happened right here in Boston, Massachusetts, y'all.
A young Negro who was, but a few years since, brought an uncultivated barbarian from Africa.
So she was taken to court because she was a poem writer, but they said Black people didn't have the capability of feeling emotions.
She is pushing back against this act.
What Phyllis Wheatley is doing is very dangerous. I mean, what's at stake is the entire colonial economy. It needs Black labor. That's what it needs. It does not need or want Black art. If we concede that Black women can produce art, what else do we have to concede?
The enigmatic woman exploding from clouds and intestines, riverbanks, kneecaps, veins, and
That's a little bit of poetry. I'm gonna see if I can get ahead of that. Okay, that's about the end of my recording on that. But that's like almost a must see. I mean, I've just turned on the channel and I'm picking up on these stories, and it's just falling in line with the way I've been thinking, and it's like confirmation to me that, you know, there's something here. I was gonna go against Trump and say there's no there. Well, there's a there here. And then when you listen to the past and then you're going through the future, you can see that there's a pattern. Okay. And the pattern is that they've been using us for a long time for our votes, supporting on us. And now that they're afraid that we're finding out how much we've been used, that they would tip the scale, and I guess people will start voting on the other side because, you know what my mother always said, you know what you got, but you don't know what you're going to get. So sometimes it's safer to stay with what you got instead of going with what you can get because you feel it's safer. But I'm learning now with this Democrat Party, they're not doing anything but selling us a signature on a vote for years. And they've been using the system to gain power and stay in power. And they're doing it by continuing to put us in an impoverished situation. America owes the descendants of slavery a debt that needs to be paid. This needs to be paid. Our kids should not be paying for college or education. Our debt needs to be settled. And getting other people over here, opening the doors the way you're doing, and hope someone that's Latino to come in here and violate my civil rights and my constitutional rights that weren't here to fight for neither one of them. And this cannot happen. This cannot happen. So I'm asking you all to support this channel, and we need to make a law that says you cannot come in here after all that we've died for, suffered under, that you're going to get in here and sneakily try to take that away by the dollar, by promoting people to get in a position and then to go behind it in what's supposed to protect us and take our protection away. I haven't heard from a senator yet, or a legislator yet, or the ACLU yet. I'm going to keep putting it out there until I find out what they're going to do. Because if they're doing underhanded stuff like this, and if we don't wake up and start addressing it and putting it forefront, they're going to bury this. And in the long run, it's us and our kids and our grandkids that's going to suffer behind this. We can't let them take away our civil and our constitutional rights. We've invested too much in this country to allow this to happen. America needs to pay its debt. How long? How long are we going to stay in this concrete jungles and things that they put up here? And the torment and the torture and the hangings and the brutality that we've gone through. The separations of our family. Come on now. And we need to bring up the horrific things and stop putting a halo over their head and tell people in other countries exactly what they did to the Black Americans here. They treated their dogs better than they treated us. I thank y'all for letting me share this morning. I'm sorry I wasn't able to give you a video, but something to think about, you all. This is going to affect our kids, and we can't let this happen. We cannot let this happen. God is calling his people to come back together, and that's exactly what we need to do. We need to come back home. Thank you all, and have a blessed Sunday. Amen. Thank you for listening, and thank you for accepting me, and because this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to get worse. I believe it's going to get worse.